doesn't have anything on you,
Yeah, yeah, I got one up on him. I'm not gay.
Oh, I forgot about that.
James Coburn, Tom Selleck. I could handle that maybe.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you. As a doctor, I've been doing this for 25 years or so. Trying to figure out what's happening, what's going on here, and who runs us, who owns us, and the only answers I've come up with, how do we solve this problem? We got this problem, and you outlined it real well on the show. Was kind of going backwards, going back to the 19th century. How do we survive before television, before radio, before we had interstate highways with trucks running on it? We survived in small towns, small villages, and 40% of the American people lived and worked on farms.
Right.
I felt that and Richard Kelly Hoskins said that the every civilization was based on the self-sufficient family farm. Now, anytime a communist regime takes over a country, they go after three classes of people in order. They go after the farmers first because they don't want you to feed themselves, so they do these giant, and ninth plank on the Communist Manifesto, corporate farms.
Right.
Now, the corporate farms, they're growing the food faster, they're poisoning the food with the antibiotics and with the shots and with the hormones. They're poisoning the milk that comes out of it. They're trying to make it illegal for you to even have raw milk. Got to have it pasteurized.
Or even grow a garden.
Or grow a garden now. And in 2004, somebody tried to kill me. Quite a few people tried to kill me. And kept me unconscious in the hospital for 3 months for 3 broken ribs. Fed me Halcyon, Haldol, Valium, and morphine. And as far as I can tell, the only mistake they made was trying to overdose Clay Douglas. And I thought if we go back to the family farm, we put low-cost structures up there. We've got teepees, we've got earth homes, we've got cabins available. We've got they got a nice little kit. You lay it out, unfold it, blow it up with a fan, spray it with water, and you've got a concrete home. And if you grow your own food and you put if every block, and this could apply to a city block or a small town, where the neighbors all know each other. If you got a garden in your backyard and you got a wind and solar unit on top of your house and you're putting all that back into the grid, you've actually got your house is working for and getting paid by the power companies. We don't have to tear nothing down. We don't have to remake anything. And if we grow heritage seeds instead of genetically modified crap that that rats won't eat, what would we need the government or the banksters or the doctors or anything else? And I've talked to doctors that would love to live in a village like this, take care of the people in the village, set the broken bones, sew up the cuts, for the people that hadn't heard of super glue. Now, to me, that's an answer, and to be able to sit around and talk with people about it. Now, we're concerned with our own survival here, so we're not going to have any genetically modified corn. There's going to be goats mowing the lawns instead of illegals on riding mowers.
Yeah.
And we start controlling our own environment within that city block, in that square block. If you're growing your garden in the backyard and your solar's on your window and your roof, you become self-sufficient. And this is what they really don't want, and that's why they're poisoning us. And by the way, the Black Hill says, tell the doctors he did a great job. I learned a lot today. Thanks.
Well, thank you. Just send money.
Really, that's it. That's what we really need. I mean, their whole war, they failed to kill me. They failed to silence me. But they have blocked me in every library around the country. You can't get my show in Intel if you work at Intel or Intuit. And they've destroyed $1 million deals, contacting every stockholder in a major corporation to tell them what a right-wing, radical, extremist, racist, anti-Semitic asshole that Clay Douglas is.
Oh, yeah, they're very good at that because, like I say, I'm a pathological liar, and people that are this is what's really sad is they really threaten people with their discredit if they support me or this issue. I mean, like you say, they removed a very honorable politician. You know, and that's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it? An honorable politician.
Yeah, we've that's the ones that are kowtowing to Israel. You know, I certainly don't believe that the Jewish lady down the street or the Muslim on the other side of the street are bad people because of where they were born or who they are. And our Constitution gives you the right to choose your religion. So you want to hug trees, stick your nose in the ground, your ass up in the air, man, knock yourself out. Just don't expect me to do that with you. But
well, the clerics have been bought off.
You mean your Judeo-Christian pastors that with the 501c3 church that they don't pay taxes, but they can't talk about certain things? Is that the ones?
Right. Right, and so the responsibility really lays on us, and sadly, people they won't do anything until they're told to do it, and that works to the handful of what we call them the oligarchs, right? That works to their favor, and unfortunately, under the manifesto, right, we were very clearly told that even the so-called religions would become an instrument in these people's hands. And my heart goes out to the Muslim people because their clerics are setting them up for destruction, just like, the ministers are setting us up for destruction because they don't tell you the truth.
They want us fighting each other rather than working together. That's it's divide and conquer is the oldest strategy in warfare. And we're in a war here. I mean, we are sincerely in a war. And that's why I think the Liberty Village idea is the real answer, because at least, the Vietnamese almost kicked our ass over there.
You mean they didn't?
Well, yeah, they did a pretty good job of it, actually, yes.
Yeah, I lost 38 of my men. I would consider that a real ass kicking.
And they did it with the little village. Why did we go in and bomb farmers in the first place? And the Gulf of Tonkin. I just had Jesse Ventura on my show. Gulf of Tonkin incident never happened.
Yeah, what did Agent Orange do to those people? It destroyed their agriculture.
And our health too. I mean, just like our soldiers are being destroyed right now by depleted uranium, their ammunition is eating them up. And they sprayed us with the Agent Orange as well as the American people and bombed their farms. We stopped them. They were growing their own food. They were being too independent.
Yeah, you got to control a man's food, because if he has his own food, he has his own way to survive. He doesn't need you.
And we've got the same thing. The technology is available today that every house out in the middle of the desert could have its own water. It could have its own wind. It could have its own sun. It can have its own power. And you grow your food. You grow your own food there. Raise your own animals.
Well, you see, if that happened, then even the banker would have to break a sweat. Instead of raping the maid in the hotel, he'd have to be out there working in the sun for his own survival. But as long as he can get you to do that, then he can hop the body of that maid in the hotel and be okay. He can pleasure himself at your sweat, at your labor.
This is the whole elitist, and it's you got the Saudis. You don't know. I don't know whether they're Jews. I don't know whether they're Muslims. I don't know whether they're pretending to be Christians like Hagee. It doesn't matter. If they are trying to get you to donate to their cause, if they're trying to get you to send money to a foreign country just because it's Israel, then they're con artists. They're ripping you off. They're taking your money, and they're making you into slaves. And if we can get somehow back now, I sincerely believe, because I had just come up with a plan for buying a town named Plias, and the governor came on television. I had raised $250,000 on shortwave to buy a town called Plias, New Mexico. Phelps Dodge was selling it. I put in an offer on it. I raised $250,000, and that governor came on and said, "Oh, we need to buy Plias. We need to do this. The state needs to do this," and so they bought it out from under me by overbidding me by $3 million. I came up with the idea for Liberty Villages, and my accident was arranged. Unconscious for 3 months. Maybe that's is that standard treatment for 3 broken ribs? I don't know.
Well, those ribs had to heal, and you couldn't be moving and let that healing process be impaired. So we need to keep you comatose.
Yeah. And
that's what we call best practices to the max.
Yeah, that $750,000 hospital bill probably benefited somebody.
Yeah.
But it impoverished me.
Is there any questions that anybody has that they want to levy at me? I don't know how you're.
Yeah, somebody did. Somebody was asking about fluoride. What's the deal on fluoride? Is it? Has anybody died? What they ask? Has anybody died of fluoride yet?
You mean, has anybody not died? The perfect thing about fluoride is it's a slow poison, and again, the same program is established in medicine. We will not tell the person that this is the cause. We'll blame it on something else, and we will profit in that process. By the way, I hope everybody knows that fluoride is the agent that's effective in Prozac and all the other psychotropic drugs. And fluoride is the primary poison used in chemotherapy. So, we can thank Bayer and Faber in Germany for the introduction of that chemical as a perfect agent to take out the enemy.
And that's what they're trying to do, is make the American people the enemy. You know, they tried to make me the enemy by starting the militias. I said, wait a minute, that's by U.S. code, that's every able-bodied male between the ages of 18 and 45. Every able-bodied male between the ages of 18 and 45 is a member of the militia, and the governor can call you up to help him, to support him in times of an emergency. That means what? So when they're telling you I'm a bad guy for starting a militia, they're telling you that a huge percentage of the American people are somehow on the enemies list, and we are. Millions of people are on enemies list, government watch list, for what? Because you believe you got the right to be free?
Did you get to watch the video on my website, license2kill.us, at the very bottom? I linked to a video called the Judges. It's a Judges Conference, and it's a rather clumsy file to download. It's 380 megabytes. But pull it in. I suggest to people to pull it into their computer and then run it in their computer. You can, I've given instructions on there how to run it as a streaming audio or streaming video. But the only problem is if you do it that way, you can't control where you are able to start it or stop it until it's all loaded in, which takes, sometimes half an hour, 2 hours, depending on your system. But if people will go in and pull that file into their computer, download it into your own computer so you can run it under total control, you'll see exactly, Clay, what they're doing in the court systems to manage you, especially when you refer to yourself as being a founder of the militia. Within the first 10 minutes of that video, you will be targeted, and you will be treated as an enemy in the court system of the United States under this design to take out the patriots, to manage the patriots. And so I encourage everybody, while it's still there, because I had it up a couple of years ago. I have.
You're talking about the Judges Conference.
Yeah. A friend of mine had it up, and it was hacked out, and he was able to stick it back up again. Right, and I've linked to it. So I'm encouraging everybody to go in and pull a copy yourself. Get that file spread around the world, and then they can't stop. They can't take everybody's copy, right? But
right.
If you listen to that conference, you look at that conference, and it'll make your stomach turn. It's literally exposing their intent on how to manage you, and keep you.
Well, I'm working on an article right now called "We've Been Putting the Wrong People in Prison."
Yeah, and that's fact.
And I don't know, with me, it's all about financing. Right now, I've got a billboard that's supposed to be going up, maybe or maybe not, and
as universal application, certainly for our courts, both in how we administer them and the substance of what we will be doing in the future. Today, we shift to a topic that probably has...
Okay. I'll look at that later.
Yeah, the next sentence that he says will go right to your forehead. They got the red dot on you.
Well, I've had people try to send me money by Western Union, and it was refused. They told me they didn't have it. And when they checked into it, found out I was on a government watch list. She said, "Since when is a radio talk show host and a publisher on a talk show on a government watch list?"
Well, whenever you interfere with their profiting. I don't care if you're a janitor and you create a situation that interferes with their money flow. And in this case, in my issue, I've created a real problem. So they cannot afford to allow
what if you offered Liberty Villages as a alternative? If the government was putting the money into Liberty Villages, everybody would be healthy, everybody would be living there, everybody would be productive, and we would be restoring the self-sufficient family farm for, a number of tenants in common.
Well, the problem is you're just not going to be dependent upon me as your banker and as your doctor and as your educator and as your food supplier. So how am I going to be able to spend my life, raping women in hotel rooms?
Well, that might put a cramp in that style, but
yeah.
You wouldn't worry about it, because if we're successful at getting this restored, this republic restored to the way the founding fathers intended it, all those guys would be in prison anyway. That's the problem. What do you got in your pocket, son? Oh, you're going to do some time for that. That's a police state. That's and I want to turn it around, and I want to put the banksters that are ripping off trillions of dollars from the American people, I want to put them in the prisons that they've built so nicely for us. I think that's a good goal. I
also want to point out on my website, not only that judges conference where it's exposing this stuff you're talking about, but also just above that panel on the conference, you'll see that I have a part of my webpage that starts out Betrayed. I have a young Air Force gentleman, who's a victim of this system as well. They've allowed his errant wife to steal his child from his custody, and in the process they've also arranged for him to be garnished of 100% of his income so he can't fight the system. So his money is being taken by the wife and the lawyers that are working this evil against him. And what bothers me in this, we have thousands of young men that have been giving their lives. They thought that they were serving their country. They went to Iraq, they went to Afghanistan.
I volunteered for Vietnam because I thought I was fighting communism.
Me too.
But I did read the Constitution, and I read the Communist Manifesto, and realized I was really serving a communist government here.
But what saddens me is they're willing to even violate the trust that our young men give them when they go off to these battles. And in the meantime, they are being warred against in their families and in their person by the very people they took an oath to serve. So I did not understand the spider web of evil that existed, and then when I poked the stick into that hornet's nest of evil, I didn't realize how what's the word I'm looking for, encompassing, how pervasive, how deeply it goes.
Yeah, some people, the average man is handicapped when coming face to face with a conspiracy so vast and so evil, normal minds cannot comprehend it.
Yeah, we don't want to believe it.
We don't. I watched, I had an article in my magazine on chemtrails. I had it on the cover of the magazine, which was distributed in Barnes & Noble and Books A Million. I was at a flea market, and I had my video, Chemtrails, the video, on the table. And as people are walking by, I'm saying, now folks, this is about what's happening right now. Look up, they started spraying at 6 o'clock in the morning They crisscrossed the whole sky. By noon, the sky was overcast in Phoenix, Arizona. And I kept saying, look up, see what they're doing, see what they're doing. And nobody would look up. They did not want to know. They just did not want to know.
See, the problem is you're asking them to look up to 30,000 feet. All I'm asking them to do is to look up 10 feet. There's a chemtrail right there. You can't refute it. And if you
how many of these camps are around? You know, these FEMA camps. I mean, was the detention centers that Halliburton was supposedly paid $650 million to build for us? Did those turn into these trailer parks, these trailer camps?
Well, they're using the units. So every unit produced that has, you know, combustion type heating through the propane, natural gas, oil, or coal, I don't care. They all are designed so that the people inside will be subtly poisoned. And the beauty about carbon monoxide, like alcohol, it dumbs you down. The beauty about carbon monoxide is you never detect it. And when you're breathing it, other poisons can be presented to you, and you do not respond to those poisons like you would normally. For example, the people in New Orleans, when they're being poisoned with formaldehyde, you know, like Jesse explained, it burned their eyes, it bothered their lungs. So the natural physiological reaction when you walk into an area that's toxic with a noxious poison like that, you want to get out of it. But if you walk into a space that's got carbon monoxide in it, you don't respond the same way. So if I'm a malicious person and I want to really injure you, and I don't want you to react and get outside and go find fresh air, I'll make sure that carbon monoxide is presented to you along with formaldehyde or some other.
Is this? Do you think? And I've just got a couple of minutes left here. Do you think, Thomas Rogers, that this is all accidental, or is this done on purpose with a government seal of approval to ultimately injure, poison, and kill people here in this country, whether they're Americans or not?
A 33-year accident is not a year. I mean, it's not an accident. Let me say that again. A 33-year-old accident is not an accident. It may have been accidental in the first few moments, but after the injury started to come in, it should have been rectified immediately. You know, a couple of weeks, a couple of months at best, this error in design could have existed if the medical profession had any integrity. See, I dealt with bodies. I dealt with victims of poisoning. That's how I was able to identify this. And if the medical profession had the integrity, it wasn't managed or controlled by the bankers, this poisoning situation, which is a mechanical issue, right, would have been corrected. But for it to continue for 33 years is an indicator to me that it is not an accident, it is malicious. It's malfeasance to the max. It's deliberate. Especially when, instead of being graciously thanked for my exposure of this problem, I was assassinated in every way possible. You know, my family's paying the price in this battle because I dumped everything that I have, and everything I have, by the way, most of it was taken away. I dumped everything I have into this effort to try to save 34 million of my brothers and sisters in America, and that includes 6 to 10 million who are not legally here. You know, I'm not for illegal immigration at all, but on the other hand, as a pathological liar. No, as a man educated in the sciences of the body, my covenant was to save lives. So everything that I have in the last 3 years has gone into this battle. Everything that I don't have a dental plate repaired. I look like I belong on the reservation.
All right, me too. I'm in the same situation. Thomas